Hello and welcome to On the Other Hoof. You join us ahead of a fantastic day of racing. We have two good races from Ripon and from Haydock to enjoy. We also have a historic day from Sandown Park, where it will be the AP McCoy's last ever two rides aboard Mr. Mole in the Celebration Chase and Box Office in a handicap hurdle later on in the day. To cover that card with me, I have Michael Andrews to my right.
Hello.
A rarity.
Yeah, I know.
A rarity in person as well.
I only turn up on special occasions.
It's just because I forced you tonight. And we're joined back in Leeds at On the Other Hoof headquarters by Timeform's Callum Adele. Good evening, Callum.
Good evening. On the Other Hoof headquarters representing.
Yeah, I thought I'd go for On the Other Hoof headquarters.
What about On the Other House?
On the Other Hoof headquarters in On the Other House.
Okay.
Yeah.
Most bookmaker reps go for like Power Tower, Hills Tower.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So
yeah.
we've just gone for On the Other House. We've gone for something completely different. But it is a big day of racing tomorrow. It's the last time we will see AP McCoy riding a racehorse on an English race course, or any race course ever.
We think.
Yeah, so we kind of do have to talk about
Before he turns
that
out to the charity race at some point.
That would be fantastic, wouldn't it? But we do have to talk about that. The main way to go about this is to just name some of his, or some of your favourite rides of his. One of my personal ones is when he won the Bet365 Gold Cup, or I don't think it was actually called that back in that time, but when he won it on Hennessy, getting him up on the run and absolutely lifting him home in typical McCoy style.
The whip Reddit would have been at that point.
It wouldn't. It's not that long, not that far ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
No, it wasn't that far ago.
I think everyone will mention Wichita Lineman.
Yeah, that's
that was just surreal.
That's the one that we have to go for.
But one that I think that was well known a couple of years back was when he got Duke 600 to win at Plumpton, I think.
Made it, yeah.
And Simon Holt's commentary was just word perfect.
Yeah.
Another everyday miracle. And I think we haven't really appreciated it until he said he was going to retire, and now everyone's just really
in fairness,
everything he does.
With that ride on Uxizondra, he was taking a horse that won a Ryanair, beating the Blacksmith.
But it looked a lot harder at that point.
If anything, AP should have got that to him about 50 lengths. We'll say that. Wichita Lineman, one of the obvious ones. Hennessy's probably one of the more obvious ones as well. Brave Inca, we've had a suggestion already for Brave Inca being one of the best rides that you've seen from AP McCoy. Callum, one of your favourites, or have we mentioned both of them?
Yeah, that means the obvious ones. My personal favourite is actually his 4,000th winner. I just thought it was such an apt winner, just the way he won it, with the crowd all there, everybody all there, and they're saying that, I was hearing there's an interview with Chanel McCoy today and saying, if he hadn't won at Plumpton, then we'd all be heading up to Sedgefield. I'm thinking, well, you don't really want to do that. Toaster, sorry, it's not Plumpton. I was thinking Plumpton. Yeah, it just incredible rider. I think another one that I'll always remember is his win on Drill Sergeant at Haydock.
Yeah, he pulled up, didn't he?
Yeah, remarkable, absolutely remarkable. Just some of those rides. There's a ride round Warwick. I remember that. I can't remember the horse it was, but that was an incredible ride.
There was one that I wanted to put in. It's sort of Drill Sergeant-esque. I think it was Wayward Glance at Worcester. The horse, it was for Jim Best, orange colours. The horse really did not want to run, and Stuart Machin, I think it was, commentating that day on the run, he said there was pushing, there was shoving, and everything short of getting off and carrying him. But McCoy has got Wayward Glance home. The horse was ridden from the drop of the flag. He just did not want to know that afternoon. Somehow the horse won. That was a significantly lower grade than a couple of the others that we've been discussing. Synchronise, another one that you have to mention with the Gold Cup.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. 'Cause as soon as Synchronise came up, he was in with a chance before the last. I thought he's won this because he's got McCoy. He stays further than the rest, and I thought McCoy's going to win it again.
Yeah, and it was, again, another superb ride. If we haven't mentioned a ride that you guys at home have as one of your personal favourites, and you can tweet us at On The Other Hoop. You can tell us anything about AP that you've enjoyed over the past 20 seasons or so. You can also tell us any fancies or any questions that you may have for tomorrow. We'll answer them and read them out at the end of the show. But we'd love to hear your favourite AP McCoy memories as we delve straight into the action tomorrow. And the first race we're going to be covering is the 145 from Ripon on our only visit to Ripon this afternoon. At the races Sky 415 handicap over 2 miles. It's a competitive race, Callum. Maybe not one brimming with class. One last year by Angel Gabriel, who went on to much bigger and better things during the flat season. Is there another horse that has the potential to do the same as Angel Gabriel last year?
I think potentially there's a few coming from the all-weather or slightly unexposed horses that are unexposed to stayers and might well improve. Then you've got your more exposed types. I mean, Lady Kashan was favourite when I last looked. Obviously, won very nicely last time at Musselburgh and won this race, or was second in this race to Ard Louis 2 years ago. So you'd expect a decent run with Shane Gray taking off the £3. I don't think you can rule out any of these, to be honest. I think it's a really tight little race and something might just pop up and really improve significantly. I haven't got a strong fancy in the race, but I think one that's slightly overpriced is Tours for Rob Millman. It's really likeable, consistent, been running well on the all-weather on its last 2 starts. It was a bit of a tactical affair behind Ridgeway Storm last time, which probably didn't suit her. It was only about 8 days after quite a hard race as well, which she'd won. The return to turf, I think, will really suit. I mean, she's a proper grinder as well. I don't think all-weather's really going to be her bag. More turf is going to be, and she's just improving. So I think around I think she was around 7-1 when I last saw. I don't know what price she is now, but yeah, I think she's worth a play if you're going to have one.
Yeah, Tours is currently 8-1 best price. Michael, your fancy for the only visit to Ripon on the afternoon?
It's bad.
It's not great.
It's really bad.
Yeah. This is usually a race I enjoy as well.
Yeah, it's normally got some decent horses in it. I think Chocala ran in it last time.
Chocala ran in it last year.
Lady Kashan was the only one I actually. Well, I recognised a few of them, but the only one I thought, oh yeah, could have a good chance. 120 days ago, Callum's pretty much said anything that is worth noting. He beat Handiwork by 7 lengths she in fact beat Handiwork by 7 lengths that day. Like to think that this isn't that great. Yes. I can't really add much to it. I'd rather talk about the big races from Sandown later. And the Haydock race is better than this.
Yeah, it's one that I wanted to mention quickly with Midnight Game, who's been in one day, at one time was a very good flat horse. He's rated 94. Tomorrow has to carry top weight of 9 stone 12. But has since been with, I think it was Willie Mullins over in Ireland, when with Jigginstown House Stud, has since been moved to Brian Ellison. He's been in decent enough form over hurdles. He will probably need to find a little bit more to win this race tomorrow. But about 10-1, I can see him being an each way price, returning back to the level. And Ard Louis, just because I always back Ard Louis in this race. He won it 2 years ago. He didn't really run his race in it last season. If he can return to anywhere near his best, he'll be going close. But I can't stress enough, that is a pretty big if with Ard Louis tomorrow. Next race to cover, we are going to Sandown for the 2 o'clock. It's the Bet365 Juvenile Handicap Hurdle over 2 miles and 110 yards. Won last year by Dispor for Donald McCain, and I believe it was Tony McCoy that was in the saddle. It's a very competitive race. We're going to start with this one, Michael. It's very, very competitive.
It is. I think the market sums it up with having 5 with just a point between the 5 of them. I think. I think who's a narrow favourite? Alzamar. Yeah, sounds like something Hamdam.
Or if you wanted to say it free flowing, it's Alzamar.
Oh yeah, rather than Alzamar.
It was a good try.
Sounds like an American commentator that you may have remembered.
No.
Party.
It's Evangeline Downs. If you ever want to laugh, just watch a race from Evangeline Downs and just listen to the start. There's about a furlong before any commentary starts.
Something about the French heritage, because Ils sont partis means they have left. They have started, it means. It's very strange. Where do I start? Old Guard carries a lot of weight. Ran really nice. Ran 9th in something at the Cheltenham Festival.
It was in the Fred Winter.
No, it wasn't. It was in Triumph, which is
yeah.
Actually obviously okay form.
Yeah, well, Nick Schofield rode him that day. He came with a pretty big reputation, actually, Old Guard.
There's an Akalim who's absolutely bolted up at Cheltenham since, and he was 5th in the race, I think, and he runs later on.
He was 5th in the Patents.
Was it the Patents? Yeah, there's something that's run out. Obviously, Hargam didn't really frank the form, but
no,
someone else did recently.
Top notch.
I think Lil Rockefeller's got a really good chance, and I think that's the form I'm going to take. I'm going to stick with Stern Rubin though this time. Flatbread. German bred, even more important. And ran a really, really nice race last time before just fading to be passed by Leo Rockefeller. I think the ground, the faster it is, will help. I don't know if he's going to reverse the form of Little Rockefeller. And obviously, there's not much difference in the price. But I think the Hobbs team had a winner at Ayr, didn't they? I think they're in
at Perth. Yeah,
I think they're in OK Nick again.
Yeah, Mountain King, I think, was the winner up at Perth. Yeah.
And Johnson had plenty of winners at Cheltenham.
Yeah, I believe Richard Johnson's either one behind or one in front of Tom Scudamore for second place in the Jockeys Championship at the moment. So that's going to be quite tight going into the last day.
But this is a really competitive race. I've tried to look at it and I just can't. I think the market's got it right on how close it is. Yeah. I think if you put a gun to my head, I'll stick with Stern Rubin. Because I think today, it might be different tomorrow, but you need to be close to the pace today.
Yeah.
In the flat. Yeah. I know it's flat racing, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's vaguely similar tomorrow.
Well, they have watered overnight at Sandown, which is something to take into account. It seems to be cutting up at places in the back straight. There was also rain forecast, but we haven't actually had any of that. We're about half an hour away from the course as well. Personally, I'd probably give another chance to Little Rockefeller. I say give another chance because I completely abandoned Little Rockefeller last time out when he bolted up at Ascot. And before that, I thought it was an absolute certainty at Newbury. In what was admittedly a very good race, he just didn't jump whatsoever. He hit every single hurdle out of the ground. In hindsight, he did very well to finish fourth. He jumped much, much better at Ascot. The going was probably a little bit slower at Ascot, which may have helped him. Sean Bowen can't seem to ride any losers at the moment. That title race actually for the apprentice jockey is still going down to the wire between Sean Bowen and Nico de Boinville.
I think there's a bigger gap between them now, though.
Is there?
I think it's 43 to 47. I think Sean Bowen's pretty much got it in his grasp.
Okay. Well, this would help anyway. But Sean Bowen's been in fantastic form lately. Neil King is a yard that's pretty much usually underrated, really, in these kind of races. But Little Rockefeller's been consistent all season. Finally got his win last time out. I think he just missed out on the Fred Winter at the festival as well. Sean Bowen taking £3 off will help him no end. And he should really go well tomorrow. He's about 11 to 2, 6 to 1. Little Rockefeller in the market. Yeah, 11 to 2 best price for Little Rockefeller. Another one that I have to mention, just because one day he will win, is Baron Alco, who ran awfully last time. You can forgive his Cheltenham run because he was going well enough at the top of the hill before. I can't remember who it was fell in front of him, but his race was brought to an end right there. And he was all but pulled up, just allowed to hunt around at the back of the field. He ran poorly last time, so you'd want to see him run much better than that. But I still think he's much better than a mark of 120. It could just be that he was remembering his Cheltenham experience last time out. If he does improve on that, then with Leighton Aspel in the saddle with every other more seemingly injured that rides over jumps, he could run well at about 10 to 1. But as for win purposes, I'd take Lil Rockefeller in a hope that he can jump a little bit better with my money on this time. Callum, you're a Neil King fan as well, aren't you? Lil Rockefeller for you?
Yeah, I'm also a Trevor Whelan fan. And who is going to be the next AP McCoy, by the way. I'm just going to put it out there. Big fan of Trevor Whelan. Yeah, weirdly, the only time this horse, Little Rockefeller, didn't jump very well at all was when Harry Skelton rode it and not Trevor Whelan. So, coincidence, I think not. But yeah, I thought it won really well last time at Ascot. It's gone up £8 for it. I would argue that Stern Rubin did quite a lot in front, actually. So I think of these revised terms, I think he'd go close, but that's definitely the form to concentrate on for me personally. I think it's really, really good form. Little Rockefeller, obviously, he's got Sean Bowen on tomorrow. I mean, that's never going to be a negative. Him claiming £3 in the form he's in. I think Alzheimer was pretty short, to be honest, because I thought he improved considerably for the step up and trip last time. Before then, he was behind Little Rockefeller at Doncaster. So I think Little Rockefeller holds him on that form personally, off around similar terms as well, after both have won since. So I definitely prefer Little Rockefeller out of the pair, and Stern Rubin, I think, is another that will be very, very close. But the Ascot form is definitely the one to concentrate on, but it's a pretty good race, to be honest.
Yeah, it is. It was a decent race last year when Dispol won it, but it seems to be Lil Rockefeller and Stern Rubin. It's between for us three. We'll move on to the next race, and I'll only visit to Haydock this afternoon for the 220, the 888 Sport handicap over a mile. Won last year by Urata's On Fire, who returns to try and defend his prestigious crown in this race. We also have a horse to follow from Adam Webb, who can't join us tonight, in Extremity, who will probably have bigger targets along the line in the flats, further down the line in the flat season. That's what I was trying to say. I finally got it out. But Callum, Urata's On Fire for Onto a Winner, who are very prolific on Twitter. He should go well. He's been running some decent races so far this season. If he can improve once more, then he should be going very close in this.
I think, yeah. I mean, you're going to expect him to go pretty close. He's a pretty consistent handicapper, but he's just one of those horses that after he's had a win, he's gone up a few pounds in the weights, and he looks obviously won this year. He's off 92 tomorrow after his recent win at Nottingham. I don't necessarily think the horse is improving considerably. I just think he's a good, solid, competitive handicapper, and he's probably just about had his win now. So I prefer others personally because I think it's actually a really strong race. Extremity's an obvious type. Obviously, being tipped up right price-wise, he's no sort of price. The conditions are ideal for him. It's just whether he's ready. And he's a horse that's going to have other aims this season, but he's a potential improver. So he could just be way too good than these. But something like the Royal Hunt Cup is going to be ideal for him further down the line. Yeah, there's a couple I quite like from Neil Weather actually that have caught my eye. There was a race at Kempton 3 weeks ago, won by Realise, and Realise is a horse that I have liked for quite a while on Neil Weather. He's just been winning and doing enough when he's doing it, and not going up much in the weights. But winning like he was the best horse, and the form is pretty solid. I mean, he's won 3 of his last 4. His defeat came at Southall, and again, he wasn't disgraced whatsoever there. He's got to prove it back on turf, but he's slightly lower on turf as well. So I can't see why he won't produce it back on turf. But there's one from that race which he won, which is Georgian Bay. He's a horse that I've had on my mind for a long time. Just last year, I was convinced he'd win a big one at some point. I know you're probably quite surprised I've gone for this, but he's just dropped down the weights on the flat. He ran, like I said, he was coming with a good late run under Ryan Moore last time when he was held up. Didn't get the clearest of runs through, but the blinkers are on tomorrow. His last win came in a first-time visor. The blinkers on this time. So I think there's definitely an angle to be with him tomorrow off this sort of mark of 91. I'm convinced he stays a mile as well. So yeah, he's one I'm going to chance around. Well, when I saw him about 14-1. So I think that's a pretty solid price, to be honest. But again, I think it's a pretty decent race. I think it'll work out fairly well. But Georgian Bay, he's race fit. I think he ticks quite a few boxes. So he's going to be the selection.
I hate you so much.
Are you going for it?
Yeah. I really fancy him tomorrow. He's gone down £5 in a handicap from his last run.
Well, he hasn't. It's turf markers.
Yeah, good internet, bro. Callum, I think what Callum was saying was about different turf mark to an all-weather mark. But first time blinkers tomorrow. Callum made the point with his last win coming in a first-time visor. That was off £2 higher, albeit it was on the all-weather, and he hasn't won on turf. Well, he's been running in much better races on turf, hasn't he? He's been running in big handicaps. So I'm not saying this is a weak race by any stretch of the imagination, because it's not. It's a very good race. But if he can re-find his best form off that mark, he should be going very close, and he's a big price to do so for Carl Burke and Ben Curtis. As for the rest, what's that?
Best price 12.
Best price 12-1. So I think that's a more than a fair price. It's a good each way price as well. Of the others, other than Georgian Bay, it's not really that strong a betting race for me. I'd expect Uriah's on fire to run his race once more. Joey Haynes takes £3 off, but 7-1 is not really a huge price you'd want to be diving in at. He's been in good form recently, but are there others that are potentially better handicap now in the field than him? We'll find out tomorrow, but he should run his race. To be honest, I really do fancy Georgian Bay quite a bit. I think he's a massive each way price, and he'll definitely be the horse that I take from the race. And it's interesting that Callum's gone for Georgian Bay as well. I assume you're going to disagree.
So yeah, I'm quite glad that you're going. I'm quite glad you're going for it, because I thought I was a bit nuts going for it. So
no,
I'm glad that
I'm surprised, because I remember a point Callum made before when he tipped Georgian Bay up, God knows, on some other day. He's never actually won over a mile, and this race is a mile.
He has shaped Breestwell.
And I remember Callum saying that was a negative that day when he ran that day. So I'm surprised that suddenly both of you have kind of changed.
He has run over.
Oh, he has run, but he hasn't won.
No, he looked as if it was shaped. Plus, he's slipping down the handicap. He's been 2 runs ago. He was off a mark of 97. He's £6 lower here.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
they held him up.
It doesn't.
I think he'll stay. Last time he was staying on quite nicely. He came 10th in the Balmoral behind Bronze Angel on bottomless ground. He wasn't getting all that far with everything taken into account. I think he's got a storming chance tomorrow. I don't really have too many worries about the mile. I think he'll see it out just fine.
I agree with the whole race fitness because I think there's a lot of horses here that should go on to being pretty decent. I think we can see plenty of these turning up and having a chance in some big handicaps. You know, like Royal Hunt Cup kind of type. Extremity obviously I think is going to need the run. I won't be backing it this time, although price-wise are apparently. Prince of Johan will surely win something. I don't think he won last year, which is a surprise, but he came close a few times. The one that I'd be interested in later in the year is Off Art, who had a really good career as a 3-year-old, won 3 races. The maiden, was it his maiden? Yeah, maiden was won by Hillbilly Boy, by the way.
Machine.
So that obviously is a massive form, Frank. Then he was 5th after a massive layoff behind Ocean Tempest in the Lincoln at Doncaster, and then he was really disappointing at first the next time when he was a very short price favourite. Been off since. I'm assuming he must have had some kind of problem. So I think he's good. I think he could be probably the best, one of the best of them if he gets back to his best.
He was really highly talked up at the start of last season, and they expected him. Well, I think they even said at the start of the season it wouldn't surprise me if he went unbeaten for the whole year, which is a big statement to make, saying that he started off in the Lincoln. Things didn't really go his way, and we didn't see him all that much last season. But if he can refine the form that he had been showing,
he is quite a big price, I think. Although I get that he might, I'd rather wait for him to have the run at 16 to 1. It's not something you would feel too bad about having a couple of quid on just in case he is.
I have to say, with Off Art, I did quite fancy him, but it was that he hadn't had a run yet. I think that will hold him back tomorrow. I think he will improve for the experience. But just quickly touch on something. We have had one question in. And while we're talking about this race, we may as well mention it now. Ben Pugh has tweeted us saying, thoughts on the price of Master of the World and a fairly weak-looking Class 2 handicap at Haydock. I think it's harsh to call it a fairly weak Class 2. I think it's a good race. I wish Adam was here. He knows a lot more about Master of the World.
He likes Master. This is the horse that ran in the 2000 Guineas.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, absolutely hate
behind Night of Thunder, and then he won beating Extremity at York in August. Then his form kind of tailed off a bit.
If he returns to that York form, then he's got a huge chance. I mean, he was beaten by Dark Emerald only by a neck at Newmarket at the back end of last season in September. That form would be more than good enough to go close. So it's easy to make a case for Master of the World. It's just which one turns up, because at the back end of last season, his form tailed off. If he's ready to go, then he should run his race. But if the right Master of the World turns up, that's what we're talking about. Not Dark Emerald. Dark Emerald would win this. If the right Master of the World turns up, then he'd have a huge chance. What kind of price is he?
Master of the World is
14 to 1. That's a fair enough price. 14 to 1 is a fair enough price. So we wish you good luck with that. Did we get a selection from you?
No, you didn't.
No.
Didn't
Sorry about
finish my spiel. Actually, I was going on. I quite like this race. I'm really looking forward to the handicaps coming back, because I think the jump season's handicaps have been a bit less than satisfactory.
The jump season's been an odd one. It never really seemed to take off.
It's taken off kind of in the spring and only the spring.
Yeah.
But it's still not quite as much as I think we wanted.
Yeah.
I don't think we had enough to beat the Mullins horses. There was just nothing really. A lot of it was just so based in Ireland. However, the other horse I was going to talk about was Realise. Callum's already pretty much spoke about that one. I thought that Kempton race where he beat George Sank by a neck was actually pretty decent. Although the horses that I fancied were beaten, a decent way. Like Made with Love was meant to be all right. What else is in that? Oh, Saucy Minx, that's one for you. Naughty Lucky 15. Georgian Bay, nearest finish. We'll see. I'm not sold on that horse, but I think Realise has got a good chance quite down the bottom of the weights as well. Selection, I don't know. I'd rather for the future. I think Caparosso could also run a really nice race as well. He was only beaten 2 lengths by Grey Mirage on All-Weather Champions Day. I'm mentioning all the horses now. The other one I'd mention is Your Art Is on Fire, who I told us to put in the Scoop 6 last year, but he wouldn't let me, and he won this race. When the Scoop 6 was 10 million, I think, this time last year.
Well, he got through the first with the 14 to 1 shot in Disport. It went very downhill on that. It's further than Callum got.
Yeah.
With
he didn't get through the first leg.
No, you guys awful.
Selection. I'm actually gonna stick with Offer. I think he needs the race, but I think for the future, at least I can say, oh, I tipped him then.
Yeah,
we'll stick with
I think Off-Art will improve the experience.
It's very much a Dutch art sponsored race.
Well, it's just a brilliant sire. A brilliant sire, Dutch Art. Georgian Bay for myself and Callum. As mentioned, your art is on fire. We'll be trying to defend his crown in that race. We've got another one next at Sandown that we're going to be covering. Is trying to defend his crown. The Bet365 Oaksey Chase, a listed chase over 2 miles and 6 furlongs, which Menorah won last year. It was a vastly weaker race and lesser hotly contested race last season. We've got some decent enough horses turning up here with the likes of Alpha Off, Argo Cat over from Ireland. Home Farm at one point was a very highly touted horse. Then we got Rebel Rebellion who ran in the Grand National. So there's a whole plethora of horses to talk about here. A few have come from Aintree, Raji, Pete Rose ran very recently. It's a tricky race to talk through, but it's a very competitive race.
Pete Rose ran at Cheltenham, I think, and was very disappointing behind Anne Turge, who was a big fan of.
He's a Cheltenham horse.
He's a big fan of Onula.
Adam, Adam.
I talk him up a bit. Your parents backed him, so that's all right.
Adam talks about
the outside, like the main, the top horses towards the top of the weights, are the ones that you really want to be. The class types, but you've got to weigh up if they're going to show it, because horses in form can beat classy horses, and I thought Alpha Rav ran really flat. Although, then again, that was arguably a much stronger race than this one is. It was won by I can't remember who it was won by. Who was that race won by?
Don Cossack.
Don Cossack, Don Cossack. He was beaten 36 lengths. Absolutely thrashed. I know Don Cossack's should be a better horse, but Alpha Rob has been very disappointing. Argo Cat, I think he's got a solid chance. Home Farm, I can't have. Menorah, I backed him the last twice, and he'll probably go and win tomorrow because he just bounces back like that. But I thought he went with absolutely no zest whatsoever and had all of his form towards the beginning of the season.
With Menorah, I was watching a race with Callum, and Callum made the point that he always seems to make one mistake that completely stops his race. And then he said that just before Menorah made a mistake that cost him any chance he had in that race. So,
I actually called that perfectly.
And it was exactly the same fence he did it, I think, the year before. So if he can stop doing that, then he'd have a massive chance. The ground's really in his favour. The yard's in form, the jockey's in form. There's not many things against Menorah tomorrow, in total honesty, but he should go well. But at 9-4, he's a bit of a
I think the two I'd take would be Argo Cat about 7-1. He was only beaten just less than 4 lengths by Felix Younger last time out at Navan, and has some form on good ground. I don't think that's going to be a negative. But the one I actually quite like at a bigger price is Rebel Rebellion, who has been in really good form, and he absolutely loved himself around Aintree.
He loved himself.
Yeah, he loved himself. He was like, I'm loving myself all the way around, in a that high-pitched voice. And then he was pulled up just because he just merely didn't stay. But before that, he beat Pete Rose. He was second to Sol. He beat Fox Appeal. I think he's got a good chance on. I don't think all the rest, the top class horses, the Grade 1 performers, are going to show their best. I mean, I think Argo Cat and Rebel Rebellion have better prices and better chances.
Yeah. I'm going to put an each way one up and probably try and find one at a shorter price as well. But I wanted to mention Third Intention, who's had a break since running in the Ryanair when soundly beaten by Exizondra. I'm not 100% sure, and I really don't think actually that Cheltenham is his track whatsoever, albeit he has run well there before in lesser company than this has to be taken into account. Before that, he won nicely at Kempton, beating not a great deal with Joss's Hill, who apparently the quote going around is that he jumps like a snooker table, is what I've heard. But it's still an impressive horse to beat. Joss's Hill's shown a better form since that with a third in the Arkle. But at the start of the season, his form took a huge boost when he just looked a completely different horse at Haydock. He bound clear of a useful enough field and won as easy as he liked. Now, usually Third Intention would be the kind of horse to get to the front, stop, think he's done enough, and then show a little bit of quirk. But he hasn't done that this season. With a break of 44 days, he comes here fresher than most, and he's avoided Aintree, which most of his rivals didn't do. So they're going to come here probably a little more weary than Third Intention will. If he can run his race, then he should go quite close. He ran really well earlier on in the season in the Tingle Creek as well. That was over 2 miles, which is a bit of an inadequate trip before staying on at the end of the day. I'm not saying Third Intention is going to go and win it, because he's not really a prolific winner, especially at this level. But if he does put his best foot forward, then he could be a decent. He could give you a decent run for your money at 16-1. I think Darragh Jacobs a good jockey booking as well that Colin Tizard has been using quite a lot this season. Rolling Aces is another one that I'm always willing to lose the shirt off my back on. He always stays on. He always stays.
We thought he was going to win last year, didn't we?
But yeah, he always stays on sort of too late in the day, really. And I think he always appears as if he needs further, but I don't think he actually does. I think that's just him that gets going too early, and he always seems to be an unlucky horse. He'll run well again, I have no doubt about that. I also have a little bit of a doubt that I don't think Sandown's really his track. He never really seems to perform as well as he should around here. It's not really a betting race for me. I can see Argo Cap going well, but I'm going to take one slightly more left field. I think Third Intention could go well at a price, if just forgetting horses that ran at Cheltenham and at Aintree. He should come here marginally fresher, but I'm sure Callum's about to shoot me down about that.
What is it about that horse that you love so much? Third Intention.
He travels well on his day. He can jump very well. I think in this kind of field, 16-1 is far too big.
No, I couldn't really disagree with you, to be honest, because yeah, I can see him thereabouts, especially with quite a few of them having hard seasons. But if I'm honest, I think Minora's just gonna win this. If I'm honest, last year he got beat about 14 lengths into fifth behind Silvioco Conti. This year he got beat 23 lengths into fifth. I don't think there's much of a difference in that, but he obviously won the Charlie Hall early in the season, and yeah, I just think he'll bounce back and prove he's the best of this lot, to be honest. How far off? I think I'm starting to really think that ground really is important to him. I think he needs soft ground desperately. I don't know what happened at Aintree. Maybe it's just a little bit too quick for him. Adding the ground and the sharper test, but he just wasn't right, and it seemed like everything should have been right because he was fresh and ready, and so coming off the back of that, I couldn't really support him, and the rest, if Minora's on form, aren't good enough for him. So yeah, I think Minora's the one to be on tomorrow. Personally, I think he's favourite, but I think he deserves to be. I think he's got a smashing chance.
Yeah, no, it is hard to rule Minora out. He's just a little bit short in the market for me, and I'd rather, at this stage of the season anyway, try and catch something at a bigger price that may come here a bit fresher than the others. So move on to the next at Sandown, which will be AP McCoy's second last ride, providing all things go well, touch wood. The Bet365 AP McCoy Celebration Chase, a grade 1 for the second season in a row, over 2 miles. We've got a field of 7 turning up. Now, we have the enigma that is Sprinter Sacre, and I say the enigma now because he isn't the force of old. We know that for sure. Nico de Boinville takes the ride as Barry Geraghty is injured.
I don't really know if he is an enigma. I don't think it's enigmatic to ask because he's just not the same horse that's turned up. And
well, the first question would be is if he does get beat tomorrow, is this the last time we'll ever see Sprinter Sacre?
It's got to be,
hasn't
it? I don't understand why they're dragging his name through the mud.
I don't agree.
There's got to be something he's showing, surely.
I don't agree that he should be running tomorrow, if I'm perfectly honest. I think Cheltenham should have been it. I know a lot of people think Cheltenham should have been it, but
to pull up like that was a bit Corto Star-esque in 2012.
Yeah, but
obviously Corto Star had more years to his belt, and
it was much earlier in the race. But Sprinter Sacre, I think he still looks like he's hurting. Like he travelled pretty well, not like the Sprinter Sacre that we used to know and love, but he travelled okay into the race, and then he just stopped, and turning for home, the light just completely went out. Barry Geraghty knew very, very quickly just to pull him up and take him back safely. He didn't even jump to the last. He got pulled up and taken back to the stables. But he's not the same horse whatsoever, is he?
No, it's a shame that he's lost that majestic touch as such, that if he'd come back that one time and they just said no, or even after Cheltenham, you can kind of understand there was something there at Ascot that we were like, okay, we'll give him another chance, because it wasn't as though he just completely didn't show anything.
Yeah, he ran well behind Dodging Bullets, who went on to win the championship.
Exactly. So, but last time, I don't get it. I don't get why they're here. It's a very bizarre move. I think the same as what you said about Vibrato Valtat. Why is he here after such a massive season?
I don't agree with running Vibrato Valtat here, to be honest. He's had a very long season. He started off over hurdles. He's been running in some big novice chases. He ran in the Arkle, then he ran over 2.5 miles at Aintree. He's had a very long season. I don't agree with horses running more than once, even if once after Cheltenham, if I'm perfectly honest. I think that could be what contributed towards the demise of Sprinter Sacre, and when he ran in the Champion Chase Aintree, and then he went on to Punchestown. I think that really did do for him. I hope it doesn't happen. The same doesn't happen to Vibrato Valtat, but I just don't think a horse should run at Cheltenham Aintree and then go on to Punchestown or Sandown, as it seems to be happening now. I'm not a fan of running Vibrato Valtat here at all, if I'm perfectly honest.
No, so I think that leaves you with 5 runners to kind of pick out. I can't have Court Minstrel personally. I don't know about you.
No,
Godzone, I was a big fan of when it came, and everyone laughed at me, massively laughed at me when I said he's big price at 40-1 for the Arkle. When he went on, came second. Disappointing, I think, is the only. I think he was disappointing in second behind Sizing Granite, but I think this track will suit him better. I think he'll be able to come into the race, and he'll obviously appreciate the good ground as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if he runs better. I don't think his price is too tempting. Well, it's only 6-1.
It has to be said, it's better going right-handed as well. That seems to be the theory with him anyway. He ran well in the Arkle. He didn't run well at Aintree, but going right-handed, we'll see.
Then you've got Mr. Mole, Summersby, Special Tiara. I think we both agree on Special Tiara.
I think Special Tiara is the clear pick.
I think on the ground, if he gets out in front...
Well, he will do. There's no other front runner in the field.
There's no front runner.
Mr. Mole can go from the front, but Special Tiara is going to go faster than that.
Yeah, and he ran really well in the
Champion Chase. He came third. He won at Kempton before that. He didn't touch a twig around Kempton.
And we've seen him round, flat tracks like Aintree when he absolutely bolted up in that race as well. A couple of years back.
With faster ground, I just think Special Tiara is bomb-proof tomorrow. You can pick holes in all the other horses. Mr. Mole could still be a bit of an enigma. He didn't really run very well in the Champion Chase. He's going to have to step up markedly on that performance if he wants to land any kind of blow here. We know he is better than that. However,
one worry I would have is Special Tiara was beaten last year by Pete Rose. But Pete Rose was definitely a worse horse there. But I think Sada Grucci was also not at the same level as Sada Grucci has been for the rest of the year.
Is Special Tiara going to have to perform to any better than that run to win this?
Well, Mr. Mole has got to put that run behind him without doubt. Godzone, if he reproduces what he had in the Arkle, will put it to him. I think
Godzone's never performed around Sandown.
No, Tingle Creek, he ran really badly, didn't he?
Yeah,
but I would put that down to the ground.
Okay, yeah.
But I think the ground was the key what made me back him at Cheltenham. So I think you've got to kind of avoid that area of it. But I think for me, Special Tiara and Godzone would be the 1-2. I'd love Summersby to get his win.
Summersby will run his race, but I don't think he really wants to win anymore. I think he's getting a bit clever in his old age. He had every chance to go past dodging bullets. I think Summersby's had his days in the sun, although it'd be nice to see him run well. Are we going to make it a clean sweep for Special Tiara, Callum?
I just think Summersby's a ridiculous price. I think he should be a lot shorter, considering his form around Sandown is very good. He's finished second in 2 Tingle. Wait, was he 1 Tingle Creek? Did he win a Tingle Creek? No, can't remember.
He didn't win one.
No, second in the last 2.
He won Henry VIII, I think.
Yeah, and he was second in this race behind the great Saint-Chouet, and second in 2 Champion Chases as well, including the last one. I mean, I'm really struggling to find a negative apart from him being an old horse now. But he seems to still have the legs. So I mean, I saw 7s earlier. I just think he should be way shorter. But I do think Special Tiara's got a smashing chance. I mean, he's going to go out from the front. Feely was a cracking booking at Cheltenham. He's back on again. I backed it actually at Cheltenham, and I thought he ran a great race. I think he's going to be banging there. I think the track and ground are going to be perfect. Sprinter, look, I can't have him whatsoever. I'd be shocked if he won this. Completely shocked. It just doesn't look right. I mean, he's not right. Vibrato, I don't know what they're doing here. The Godzone theory about him going right-handed or left-handed will be interesting to see if there's any sort of basis considering how he runs in this. And Mr. Mole, I think I think I'd rather see Mr. Mole win than anything from McCoy, to be honest. But I don't what he's just quirky, isn't he? I mean, maybe that champion chase run has just maybe knocked him off kilter again, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. No.
So yeah, I'm going to put Summersby. I think he's a ridiculous price. But I think Special Tiara, I do agree with you guys. I think it's got a really good chance from the front. Sure to get his own way out in front unless McCoy goes up there with Mr. Mole. But I think Summersby beats him comfortably fair and square in the champion chase. I don't see why he won't tomorrow, personally.
Yeah, I think Summersby's just a bit of a difficult horse now. I love the horse. I've done for years. It's a fantastic old stick, but I think he's getting a bit wise in his old age. He had every chance to go past Dodging Bullets on the run-in, and at one point he may have even got level. But whether Dodging Bullets battled, whether Summersby shirked the issue, then I'm not sure about that. But I'm very, very keen on Special Tiara tomorrow. The other big race at Sandown tomorrow afternoon is without AP McCoy lining up in the field. The 350, the Bet365 Gold Cup, a Grade 3 handicap, over 3 miles, 5 furlongs, and 110 yards. A field of 20 go to post. We're going to start with you here, Callum, where a lot of the runners ran in the Grand National 2 weeks ago, which wouldn't really overly be a big positive, but we backed one a while ago that we're now going to brag about.
Yeah, I was just saying. I mean, Le Rêve at 25 to 1 looks a massive price, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, very happy with a nice little bet on Le Rêve for this race. The national horses, I mean, quite a few. Well, the odd one have placed from time to time, but I don't think any of them have come from the national gone to win this recently. Rocky Creek ran no sort of race in it, which is disappointing for both of us. The ground. What is the ground going to be tomorrow? What? I mean, it was obviously quite tacky ground for the flat horses, but it's going to be faster in regards to jumps ground. So
I think it'll be good ground.
Good ground.
They watered again today. I think it'll be fine.
Okay. Bob's Worth. I saw there's money for him. Again, he's just a horse I can't have at all. I think he's gone at the game, and he should be retired as well. I mean, he's never a horse I've really liked anyway. I thought, he's very lightly raced, a very highly strung horse. And when he's gone over the cliff, since that Gold Cup win, which was such a ridiculous performance in terms of it took so much out of him, he's never been the same horse again. I know he's won a Lexus since then, but he's never been the same horse again. I can't have him whatsoever. Union East, I think, is too high in the handicap. Bar that, I think the market's generally got it spot on, to be honest. The package, I don't know, Luke, if you like the package.
Yeah, I think it ran well.
I thought you would, yeah. He bolted up at Cheltenham. Stamina, I don't really think's an issue. I mean, I remember him staying on at the end of the day in this race a few years ago when he went off favourite, and that was only because he got hampered. So I think he should stay fine if he gets a clear run. Grand Gesture behind probably one of the best handicap horses in jumps racing in Druid's nephew at Cheltenham. So he's another to consider. In all, I think the market's got it spot on because I think Paint the Clouds is another that's going to go very, very, very close. Yeah. I'm very happy with Le Rêve with my anti-post bet, and I'm going to stick with Le Rêve. I think Sandown, he loves it round here. I'm not fully convinced he's proven his stamina for this trip, but I don't think he's had the chance to over his ideal conditions, which is what he gets tomorrow. Second to Rocky Creek at Kempton is very, very good form. And yeah, I think he's got a really good chance tomorrow. So Le Rêve for me.
Yeah, I completely agree with Le Rêve. I'd be disappointed if he was at the 4, if I'm honest. With Le Rêve, it's been his aim all season. He absolutely loves it around Sandown. He's got a fantastic record round here. Stamina, I'm not overly worried about, to be honest. He's never really looked as if he's tiring towards the end of his races. Behind Rocky Creek last time, Rocky Creek just had optimum conditions. Everything went his way. They went a really good gallop, and he proved to be a very classy horse, and he was a well-handicapped horse at the time. Tomorrow of 163 on faster ground after completing the Grand National course. I don't know about that, if I'm perfectly honest. I after a Grand National, if it was my horse, I'd just put him away. But fair play for coming and taking their chance. He's high enough up in the weight, so the other Nichols runners I don't have to shoulder so much weight, i.e. Union East, who's a 7-year-old carrying 11 stone 8. I'm really keen on Le Rêve, as you mentioned, Callum, about the package. I think he made a mockery of the Kim Muir, which is a competitive Cheltenham handicap. He jumped very, very well, stayed on well. The stamina's not an issue. Jumping's not an issue. The ground will be certainly won't be an issue. I can see the package going really well for Tom Scudamore, who, as mentioned earlier on in the show, is in that battle with Richard Johnson to be the second place jockey in the Jockeys Championship, which we will find out tomorrow. So the package at a slightly bigger price, albeit not much of a bigger price, about 10 to 1, I think will go well. He's probably more of an each way bet personally, but I think I'm all over Le Rêve. I think Le Rêve will go very, very well tomorrow afternoon. Hopefully he does. As mentioned, I can't see him out the first three. Of the others, Paint the Clouds, as you mentioned, Callum. I know Warren Greatrex has mapped him out for this race, and they avoided Aintree specifically so they could run in this race. Sam Wadey Cohen takes £3 off of 10 stone, which it makes life very much easier in this sort of race. Do you remember a hunter chaser called Baby Run ran well in this race a few years ago? As you smile at that. I think it's a decent bet 365. I don't think it's the best renewal of the race that we've seen in recent years. I think Le Rêve's only going to be a horse that gets better. Personally, he's still only a 7-year-old. Of a mark of 147, I think he'll go very well. Tomorrow afternoon, 8 to 1 is a fair enough price. Your fancy for the bet 365?
Do you know what Le Rêve means in French?
The
dream.
There you go. It's a dream. No, thank you for that.
There you go.
What does Rauca de Farge mean?
Luke is a.
Okay, I asked for that.
Yeah. My selection is Grand Gesture. I think you've got to ask a couple of questions. The main question is stamina. And the other question is temperament, as you spoke to me about earlier. I do remember he was the one that was delaying the start because he was messing around and they jogged all the way down.
Well,
Johnny Burke was leading him down, wasn't he?
Johnny Burke had to get off, then the stable lad came up and had to lead him down at the start at Cheltenham. Now, whether it was just that the occasion got to him, the Bet 365 start is... I'm trying to think where they start.
It's at the bottom, isn't it?
No, I'm feeling it's a 2 mile start. I'm sorry, I've completely blanked out. I think it's the 2 mile start, so it's away from the stands, but it'd be interesting to see Grand Gesture in the prelims. I think that's when you'll know what sort of form he's on.
But I think he's obviously, as Callum said about Drew's nephew, a very, very well handicapped horse. And he ran a really, really solid race there. Johnny Burke had an excellent Cheltenham, actually.
Yeah.
And I think he's got a really good chance. He's got some really nice form. I don't think the ground will be a problem. Gold Wells horses normally go round on good ground anyway. Also Holywell, however you wish to pronounce it. Of the others, the back of the package was one I was going to actually talk about very briefly. In that they didn't get into the Grand National, but as a result, they didn't decide to go for the Topham. I think David Pipe
and they didn't decide to go for the Scottish National.
David Pipe thought there's a pot here that we could get with this horse. And I think they've saved him for this race, and I think that is definitely a tip in itself. Yeah. I think a tip in itself for the fact that AP McCoy hasn't ridden any of John Joe O'Neill's horses is another one. So we'll be back in Lost Legend.
One thing about the package that I wanted to mention is that I can't remember who it was. We're talking to Martin Pipe at the festival, and it's just before the package won the Kim Muir, and they asked him, was it Dave Yates? Is it? He says, have you got any handicap horses that you fancy this week? And he just goes, the package is an absolute certainty here.
No, it's just before the race. It was just before the race.
Yeah.
And he says, you got a winner here. He said, the package will bolt up. I mean, come on.
In a 24-runner Cheltenham handicap over fences, ridden by amateur riders, that's fair confidence. So it shows what kind of form the package was in and how well handicapped he was at Cheltenham. But he should go close. Really,
the only other horse down the bottom is Guess Again, who I backed in that race that the package won at Cheltenham, and then he fell when he was still in contention when he fell at the 15th.
Was that in the melee at the top of the hill?
I think it
must have
very much could have been.
It must have been
the melee.
Melee,
yes.
It was something.
But he had some decent form before that. He was ex-David Pipe horse, now gone over to Tony Martin. I think all of those owners,
the Malcolm Denmark horses,
they all moved over to Tony Martin. Sorry, Drew Martin. It's his name on.
That's why you did say Tony Martin.
Yeah. Clearly, I'm getting lost in translation. But I think that horse, especially down the bottom of the weights, he carries 10 stone 0. Is a decent chance. Paul Townend obviously had a very, very good Cheltenham.
Paul Townend's been in flying form ever since Cheltenham, to be honest. I can see Guess Again going well.
Yeah. So Guess Again, and which was the first one I mentioned? Grand Gesture. Grand Gesture, I think, would be the main bet. Guess Again each way. and the package, I think, has got a very good chance.
Yeah, and usually a race at 3:50 would signify the end of the Channel 4 transmission, but tomorrow they have moved the races around. This race was meant to be run at 5:35. It was the last race on the card. They have moved it so Channel 4 can show AP McCoy's final ride ever. Period. Done. At 4:25, the Bet365 handicap hurdle over 2.5 miles. For the last time, we can say AP McCoy is teaming up with John Joe O'Neill and JP McManus in a horse that, at the moment in the market, is looking like a bit of a handicap plot with Box Office. They've done it so many times before, Callum. Can they do it one last time with Box Office?
Oh, it's going to be primed. It's going to be stepping up in trip. Last McCoy ride from McManus and John Joe. I don't think you can oppose it, to be honest. I don't want to oppose it. I don't know what else you can really say about this race. It's such a bizarre race, or probably remarkable race, more than bizarre. But taking out the sentimentality of it, it's a very competitive handicap. I don't know what I think. I mean, you're going to probably go for Aussie's Dancer. I expect to run well. I just think this kind of competitive grade might just find him out of a slightly higher or £7 higher mark. I think Will Dragon could be very well handicapped. I think his opening mark was very, very fair. And someone like Raven Black, I think, who goes well here, I think is also if he can get an easy lead again, like he does like to. I think I'm worried about stamina still for him, but if he gets into a good rhythm, then potentially he's quite a free going horse, isn't he? So he might struggle to get home, but if he gets into the rhythm, loves the place, I think he can go well. I would love to see Box Office win. I think Wilbur Dragon could be very well handicapped. So my heart says Box Office and my head says Wilbur Dragon.
Yeah. With Box Office, I've just got a few things I wanted to say with regards to a few people saying that he was a bit of a plot. I don't think he really was. I think it was more of an afterthought, if I'm honest. He ran at Cheltenham and he was subject to a big gamble in the Fred Winter. Let's not forget that. I think it was 10 or 12 to 1. And he went off 13 to 2. He was also shorter than 13 to 2 at one point. He came 7th in that. He ran well enough in the Fred Winter. He then went on to Aintree, where he came 7th in another good handicap behind Astra Delacour. Maurice Linehan rode him on that occasion. I think it was in the conditional jockeys handicap as well, so AP obviously couldn't ride on that occasion. I wouldn't go so far as to say he's a plot. I'd say he's a well-handicapped horse. I'd agree with that, but it's a tricky one to try and land it with on the final ride for AP McCoy if they are trying to do that. A 4-year-old taking on his elders and more experienced rivals. I'd like to see Box Office win just for the sentimentality side of it, but I don't know. I think he's going to be far too short of a price. I think it's fairly easy to take him on. Callum gave away my fancy in Aussie's Dance, so trained by Martin Smith, who is a friend of On the Other Hoof and a friend of all of ours, of course, on Twitter. He's been in flying form recently. He ran at Uttoxeter when he got pulled up. He was really poorly behaved that day, but that was in a first-time tongue tie. And he just didn't take it whatsoever. He absolutely hated it and just completely down tools and just went backwards. Was never going that day. He bounced back with a good run at Fontwell when he probably just met a horse that had a little bit too much toe for him. And he just pretty much bumped into one, basically. That was at a lower grade than this, has to be said. But he won really nicely at Plumpton last time out. He travelled into the race really strongly on that occasion. He didn't find much in front, but that's him. He never does. He doesn't really do a great deal in front. Saying that, he's not trying to shirk the issue at all. He's just sort of doing enough. And if a horse comes to him, he will begin to find a bit more. Thomas Cheeseman taking £7 off is no negative whatsoever. Tom Cheeseman gets on very, very well with Aussie's Dance. So he rode him when second and when he won last time out. I just think last time he won a lot easier than it looks and a lot easier than the winning distance suggested. 20 to 1, I think, is a bit of a big price about him, to be honest. For each way terms, first 4. I think that's going to be a huge price, and I can see Aussie's Dancer going really well. You wouldn't want too much rain, but there's no rain that has arrived so far. There was some in the forecast, but he just wouldn't want it any softer than good to soft, really. So everything's really in his favour. It's just whether he can take another step up in class off a mark of 126, which is £7 higher than he won off last time. Of the rest, I'm a huge fan of Raven Black after he got me through the play spot in the Imperial Cup. I've just got a little worry about 2.5 miles. I think they're going to go a good clip again, and whether he truly sees that 2.5 miles, especially at Sandown, that remains to be seen.
And with his front running tactics,
exactly,
yeah, well.
It depends. They may try and restrain him a little bit more.
I don't think
help him settle, but
work, no, I think again, trying to restrain Tiggy Wiggy.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure. I know that the Skeletons, Go Odie Go is one that they've liked for quite a while. He's slowly but surely been coming along, about 10-1. He's just sort of gone under the radar. I think Go Odie Go could run a big race in this, putting his best foot forward. Of the others down at the bottom of the handicap, there's not really that many that you take, other than Aussie Stancer and Go Odie Go. Box Office sort of lingering around the middle. And the ones at the top, there's not really a great deal that inspire. I know you quite like Party Rock. I think,
yeah. Party Rock has been a bit of a cliff horse for me since that one won a couple of times at Aintree and then ran really, really well behind the Invel.
Yeah, okay.
The Invel. Yeah. And it was one of the only horses that was actually up with the pace that day that actually stayed there. But I think he was the most prominent. All the others that came from the rear prominent was Del Arca. That's the only other one, and that was 6 lengths behind Party Rock. So it actually clung in there. Was carrying a lot less weight than he does today, obviously, because that race, I think, he's argued it was a grade 3 race at the end of the day. This is a class 2. But I think he's got a really good chance. He loves it when he pretty much has a winter break and doesn't bother.
Yeah.
Because his good ground kind of is his favourite. Jenny Caplish, and I think she knows what she's doing with her kind of horse. And I think Party Rock's got a really good chance. 11 Stonette is a slight worry, but Conor Ring does take off the 5 that puts him in there with a chance. Box Office, once again, if he wins, it'll be just the perfect story. If Mr. Mole doesn't win, which I don't really think he's going to. I don't know. I don't think either of them are horses that I would be going, yes, that's a certainty.
But there was an offer I saw earlier on, was 3-1 for him to ride a winner tomorrow.
Yeah. Which I didn't... Yeah, it wasn't that great, was it? Aussie's Dancer, obviously, we'll mention that one, and hopefully for everyone involved, that'd be really, really good. But for me, I think Party Rock is better than a lot of these. One other one I would mention, and I know Callum followed this horse off a cliff last year before it won Aintree, is Clondal Kempfer right at the top, who was actually, the race he won at Aintree was a very, very good race. Cadden Burley came second. Cheltenian was in fourth. Alevan, you've got some really, at a glance, was well beaten, but I don't think that was the best. Stonebrook, he ran well at. In front of Party Rock last time at Aintree. There's some really good horses behind him. He carried 11 stone 4. Okay, he's carrying 11 stone 12 now. That's an extra. Oh, my maths has gone £8.
Good work.
However, he has got first-time blinkers,
and Wayne Hutchinson, who gets on well.
And Wayne Hutchinson, which I think is slightly interesting, considering him and Party Rock, I think, are very much the most experienced members of the field. They've shown their class. The others have kind of got it all to prove.
Yeah.
Also, Hutchinson rode him when he won at Aintree.
Yeah, that was my point with Hutchinson riding. Yeah.
So, I'd be interested. In fact, that's the only time Hutchinson has ever rode him. So he has a 100% record on him
until tomorrow.
So
if McCain hadn't totally lost the plot, then I think agree.
Don't dance around that issue. Just go straight in. Go straight to the jugular.
Clondal Kempfer's 33-1. I wouldn't put you off just having a couple of quid each way. He does carry a lot of weight, but on good ground, I think it is easier to carry that weight than on heavy ground when you are feeling every single pound. And he is a very classy horse on his day, although he hasn't shown it since that win.
Yeah, I think 20 to 1 Aussie Dancer is way too big. He might not necessarily win, but at an each way price, I think he's huge in that respect. Right, that is the final race to cover, and the final time we'll ever be talking about AP McCoy riding in a race anyway on the other hoof with Box. I was wishing the best of luck with that, and we hope that he wins for the sentimental reason, but we have just given you our selections, and we hope that they go close as well. If you wanted to get in touch with us, at On The Other Hoof is our Twitter tag. We're about to read out any questions, fancies, and any of the AP McCoy memories that you guys may have. There's still time to send those in to Twitter at On The Other Hoof, and we'll start reading them out now. Kai Wills is always first. He's very good at this. He's always first to send in his tweets.
Before we've even thought of the video.
Before we've even tweeted about doing a video, his questions are in about midday. So well done to you, Kai. As always, he goes, sad day tomorrow, no more AP. Respect his decision going out at the top, even though deep down he wants to carry on. I think that's a good point. I think he does want to carry on. I think he's more than capable of it.
Well, he's going out at the absolute top.
Exactly.
The thing that I found really interesting, and I think Great British Great British Racing put this on, how many days every champion, like the leader of each sport, has been at the top.
Yeah.
And his nearest pursuer was Phil Taylor in darts, and he was nowhere near AP McCoy. And you think darts in comparison to there's no real age limit on darts.
No.
And darts, there's no real physical limit.
Well, yeah, exactly. You got the diet, you've got the physicality of doing a job, you've got the injuries.
It's insane how no other sport has any real equal.
Yeah.
In that kind of, from that kind of point of view, and I think it's going to be really sad, and we are going to really, really miss it.
Well,
I think.
with all of us personally, we've pretty much never known national hunt racing or horse racing. You haven't. Me and Callum, just about when we were 2, I think.
First year I was born was the first year AP McCoy won the Jockeys Championship. So I've never ever known another champion, which is just insane.
Yeah, I think we had Richard Dunwoody before that. But Kai Wills has then followed that up with an AP memory of his. I don't think we actually mentioned. Well, we might have done. My favourite AP moment would have to be Brave Inco winning the champion hurdle because I had loads of cash on it. Everyone's got their reasons, Kai. Everyone's got their reasons. # never say die. That was another good. I was always on Brave Inca's side rather than Hardy Eustace. Nothing against Hardy Eustace. I just love Brave Inca. And they were a perfect match. Brave Inca was a fairly lazy horse, albeit a very good horse, and AP just got the best out of him. And then he's also asked if we think box office has got a good chance. He's been smashed into 100 to 30 from, I think, 4 to 1. So not smashed, I'd say, but he's got a good chance box office. He's going to be far too short to back. You cheer him on 4 just for the sport and for being a racing fan, but whether he could win, I have my doubts. Matt Wynn, next question is: surely John Joe and JP will have box office in prime condition to give a send off to the champ? He will, undoubtedly.
Yeah, well, I think they definitely want to send him off with a winner, don't they? And I don't think Mr. Mole really offers quite as much certainty, and perhaps that's why they put, there's this kind of idea that box office could have been saved for this.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't, if it has been, then good plan, because I think it would be amazing for racing, and amazing for the story. But is that really true? I don't know. Has he shown enough to me to say that he's miles ahead of a handicap?
No, exactly. That's the thing.
No.
Like he's run well the last twice, but he was a big gambler at Cheltenham in the Fred Winter.
He ran respectably.
Yeah, exactly. He's run respectably, but he hasn't really suggested that this trip he's really well handicapped. He should go well. Any thoughts on that, Callum?
What? Sorry.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Move on to Max Banner's question. That's what you get for stitching me up with Portrait King and national video. Max Banner, he hasn't actually given us a favourite ride. He said, "Oh, it's the rides at the smaller courses that shine for me."
I think he has later on.
Later on. There you go. He goes, "The ones I've backed are Beg to Differ at Uttoxeter, Hefner at Huntingdon, and more of that at Wetherby, and High Tide at Worcester." More of that at Wetherby.
I thought more. Do you remember more of that at Haydock?
Haydock, yeah.
When I backed Blue Fashion, I was like, Blue Fashion, and then suddenly just more of that just appeared.
A ridiculously good handicap.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it was a great ride that day. Perhaps it was more at Wetherby.
It was a handicapping ride.
I can't even remember what it was at Wetherby.
No, I don't remember.
Wetherby Scrape Tone.
Scrape Tone did it.
Okay. Yeah, it was a big battle between like the first 2 home. They were miles clear, and he got up quite close home. But Haydock is when he really highlighted himself as a serious horse, the way he won that handicap, overcoming a slowly run race and coming from well back was just ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree on that. So some memories there from Max.
I remembered another one.
Go on.
Doncaster this season. He was on a John Ferguson horse against Ruby Walsh on a
it was
Andrea Graham Wiley
Solar Impulse and Three Kingdoms.
That was it. When Three Kingdoms won, and you just looked at it and they just went battle to tongue, and it just showed you. And I remember Unace versus Cloud Creeper as well. They went up the hill, him and Richard Johnson.
Unace and Royal Regatta.
No, that was it. The
last twice with Unace.
Yeah, with Unace. But there's just so many. There's so many, and it's all personal to different.
I think we could sit here for 3 hours and just reminisce about our favourite rides. But we'll move on. QJ has gone a little bit further back in history. He's gone for Pridwell, a supreme show of strength tinged with a subtlety that's often forgotten to beat one of the greats.
It was Mr. Brack.
Yeah. But Pridwell in his day, another very, very good horse that AP got on very well with. There's so many that you could just go back through.
Get Me Out of Here.
Yeah, Get Me Out of Here many times, not getting up in the Coral Cup. Andrew Humphrey, as we mentioned earlier, synchronised in the 2012 Gold Cup. Andrew agrees with that. The horse never wanted to go a second circuit, but AP got him up. He didn't jump very well, he didn't travel very well, and he won one of the biggest races of the season in the Gold Cup itself. Adam Perkins, his ride on Drill Sergeant at Haydock was phenomenal. Being at the meeting, witnessing that was unbelievable. I'm jealous of that. But Callum, that's one that you mentioned earlier on, wasn't it? Drill Sergeant.
Yeah. Remarkable performance considering what he did before the final circuit to get him up was just ridiculous. I mean, it's just McCoy's one of those jockeys that he can just do things that other jockeys couldn't. And the fact that he could get horses home that no other jockey would have a hope of doing, but it was just his longevity of doing it and just incredible. Unbelievable sportsman, like Michael said, that comparison with Great British Racing, I think that very much sums it all up for me.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. He's just been a tremendous figure that we're going to miss tremendously in racing as a whole, not just as in National Hunt Racing. KJ has then tweeted in saying, regarding God's Own in the celebration, he simply has to jump better than he did at Aintree. I agree with that. He probably has to jump better than he did here in a Tingle Creek as well, which would be more of a pressing concern. Max Banner did mean Haydock with more of that. That's why we can't remember Weatherby.
Yeah, that's the reason.
That's a good reason why we couldn't remember Weatherby.
So I don't know what Callum was thinking of.
Well, I don't think he even wrote him at Weatherby, actually. So, yeah.
Catherine. I don't know why I said Catherine. Callum's just like created this race in his mind.
Was it a good race, Callum?
Yeah, it was a cracking race. To be fair to McCoy, it's hardly his greatest moment. Well, actually, that's a good point. Actually, using more of that, it probably was one of his better rides because he was able to win on horses that were so far ahead of their mark, but not win by far enough. Like if you wanted a jockey to do that, then he really was your master at just doing enough to win, making it look harder than it was when actually you were 2 stone.
I think that's definitely it because more of that never really. Not many people were actually impressed enough with more of that up until he won the World Hurdle. Because
I'd say until he won Railkill.
I backed him for the World Hurdle.
I still think there was a bit of doubt in your mind. You didn't really know. The Railkill form wasn't superb.
No,
it wasn't.
I backed him after he won the Railkill. I backed him at Cheltenham. So I was a judge, but you might be.
There's no other way around.
Welcome to On the Other Hoof.
I am brilliant.
No, genuinely, when he won at Haydock, he instantly went. I said that's a very, very good horse. Just the way he won in the circumstances.
Apparently, the Weatherby race does actually exist.
Yeah, he did run at Weatherby.
Yeah, he did. He won at Weatherby beforehand.
He beat 12 roses.
First time up, he went off 20 to 1.
Louis. Ard Louis was pulled up.
Sorry, we got a relevant form boost here with Ard Louis for today.
He went off 20 to 1 on debut and was really unfancied and absolutely bolted up.
I get what you mean with regards to it was a good ride for different reasons. It was a very good ride. It was a very good handicapping ride, I think we'll call it. That he won on a very good horse by not so far, and then the handicapping went on. And in the end, he proved to be a Grade 1 winner, which not many jockeys could do. But that is all the tweets we have. Have you got a naughty luck 15?
I have. Yeah, I have. It took me a while, but we had to go to. Would I end up in Ripon?
Yeah,
in Ripon,
deepest darkest.
What is what am I? I'm indescribable.
No, you're
not in a bad way.
I'd say you're a cock.
Okay, that's rude. This is basically all about you now, Luke. Actually, no, we'll get through the other one. Westwood Ho is another one in the Naughty Lucky 15. And then all about Luke is Gone in a Minute. That's description of Luke's, everyone else can work out where
this is a family show. This is a family show.
You just call me a cock.
You are a cock. You are a cock.
And how does Luke like his women accessible?
Well, yeah. How else am I going to get to them?
That sounds so creepy.
If not, I make them accessible. Kai Wolf just tweeted in saying, "Is the package named after Linford Christie?" I will get back. I'm going to phone Linford Christie after this show, Kai, and I will tell you if he is. I'm going to go with no about that. That's a wonderful tweet to end on. Nap time, Callum. Here's your nap for tomorrow.
My only bet tomorrow is Jordan Bay, so I have to nap him.
It's who, sorry?
Georgian Bay, sorry. Did I cut out?
Okay. Georgian Bay. I'm going to nap Special Tiara in the celebration chase.
Oh no. That was the one.
That's mine. I've been talking it up all day.
Yeah,
Special Tiara, I think, is an absolute certainty.
I've been talking up in my own brain now. I'm going to go Party Rock each way. Can I do each way?
Yeah, you can go.
Because that's the one I've been talking up all day.
Yeah, you can do naps each way.
Good. We'll go Party Rock each way.
Party Rock each way.
But if Special Tiara wins, then I should also go up on the naps table.
No. Special Tiara. You can nap with me.
We're quite good at that.
Yeah, we're good at napping together.
Should we do that?
I don't mind.
Yeah, okay. We'll go Special Tiara. Well, if Party Rock wins, I want the money for that.
No. Pick one now.
Party Rock each way.
Party Rock each way. Right. Special Tiara for me. Georgian Bay for Callum. And Party Rock each way for Michael. Are the naps tomorrow. Good luck if you're having a bet. We are back next week.
I won't be, probably.
You won't be, yeah, you're lazy.
I only appear on big days.
Where's the racing from next week, Callum? Do you know?
Yes, I do.
Good, thank you very much. We'll be back with racing from there.
Oh, I thought you knew. It's Guineas next week, so.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I thought you were just being like sarcastic. So
no. And on the other hoof, I'll be presenting from another location as well.
Yeah.
Punches coming next week as well.
And Punches 10,
during midweek.
Yeah. But we will be focusing on the Guineas, and we may even do a video on the Saturday night covering the 1,000 Guineas and the support card on Sunday. So stay tuned for that. You can keep up to date with all the happenings at On the Other Hoof by following us, ironically, at On the Other Hoof. You'll be told about everything that's going on there. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you've enjoyed tonight's broadcast, you can find all our other videos that we've ever done and laugh at how poor tipsters we are, and any other.
For yourself.
You suck.
I never turn up, so I don't have a bad record.
Exactly. This guy's new. Yeah, and you can you will be told about every video that we do when we do it, and it will be uploaded to our YouTube page. If you subscribe to us, you will be told all about that. But for this week, thank you for joining our special On the Other Hoof broadcast as we say goodbye to AP McCoy, a legend of our sport who will be sorely missed within the ranks of National Hunt Racing. I hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. Good luck if having a bet tomorrow. Until next week, goodbye.